Well, new tariffs and an overall pessimistic view of the economy's direction have 1 in 5 Americans doom spending. Well, that sounds ominous, and local financial professional Tony Drake from Drake and Associates says it can be. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I don't think I'm doom spending right now, but I'm not sure I know exactly what that is.
Well, I hope you're not. You're right. It does sound really ominous, but think of it this way. It's kind of when fear and anxiety cause you to buy things impulsively. That's what we call doom spending. And to your point, about 20% of Americans say they're doing that right now, and they're just anxious, right? Understandably so. The economy's really been on a volatile ride, right? And they're worried about the future. And a lot of people are trying to complete purchases before steep tariffs against Mexico, Canada, China start to take effect on different products. And maybe even more seriously, about 23% of the country thinks they'll go into credit card debt or take on more debt than they already have in 2025. So can lead to some financial problems, so you really want to control it.
So we're not talking about buying a couple extra burritos. We're talking about buying a few Toyota Tundras or something?
Well, hopefully not Tundras, but even for some people, you know, extra burritos, things that are outside of the budget, that can add up over time. So you want to be careful, especially if you're putting it on those credit cards and it's not worked into that budget.
How can we avoid that?
Well, anytime we're talking about spending that we shouldn't do, we want to try to kind of put some safety nets in place, right? We want to make it more difficult for ourselves. It's really easy to spend money you shouldn't if there's nothing in place to stop you. So the more obstacles you can put between you and spending money, the less likely you are to impulsively buy things you don't need. So think of things like removing credit cards that you have online. Maybe you have them set up in your account with online retailers, so you'd have to go to your wallet, your purse, pull out the card, make it a little bit more difficult. Institute, you're thinking about that Tundra, institute a 24-hour rule before a big purchase. When you want to buy something, take a day to think about it, really weigh the pros and cons. Do you want it or do you need it? And then, you know, you can put it in your online cart, but don't check out. And if tomorrow comes and you're not as excited about it, don't buy it. Things like that can save you a lot of money, because a lot of retailers will also send you coupons if you notice you left an item in your shopping cart overnight. So if you're anxious about the future and it's making you want to spend money, you know, why not spend it on providing for yourself in the future? You can take some of that extra money and put it towards your retirement. We really want to see people having 10 to 15% going into their 401k and IRA, setting that aside for retirement. That number's too big. Start somewhere, but you definitely want to put that money away.
I would think people would be afraid of doing either, of buying anything big or putting money into the stock market, into your 401k, and just sticking it under your mattress.
Yeah, I call that Grandma Mary's mattress money. My grandma, if it was up to her, she would have had all her cash under the pillow, right? She was a child of the Great Depression. But reality is, right now, it is scary. Because of these tariffs, the markets have had a lot of ups and downs. But there are some very wealthy investors over time that put money in the market when everybody else is afraid. So it's all about timing. If this is money we don't need for 10, 20, 30 years until retirement, these are great times to buy. We don't know if we're quite at the bottom, but the market's certainly on sale. So think about your favorite store. If it was 10, 20, 30% off, you'd go running to the store to buy it. But when it comes to investments, people get really nervous. It's hard to keep the emotions out of investments. That's why so many people end up hiring a financial advisor to help. Really hard to not get emotional about your own money.
All right, Tony, some great advice here at these scary times. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, buddy.